Hello and welcome to a video on the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve. First, I'm just going to take you through the facial nerve and a few points of information about that. So the facial nerve is the seventh cranial nerve, which you'll see in some textbooks denoted as C for cranial, N for nerve, V, I, which is the Roman number for 7. Its primary responsibility is to supply the muscles of facial expression with motor innervation. It has 5 main branches, so it has the temporal, the zygomatic, which is number 2, the buccal, which is number 3, the mandibular, which is number 4, and the cervical, which is number 5. And it exits the skull through the stylomastoid foramen, which is located just roughly right here on the diagram. So this diagram has got lots of muscles on it, and these are the muscles that we're going to be going through. But in this video, we are just going to be focusing on, I'll mark it in blue, number 2, which is the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve. So we're going to be focusing on this branch right here. So first off, let's talk about orbicularis oculi. Now, if the name doesn't give it away, it is this muscle I'm just outlining in blue here. Now, orbicularis oculi is called orbicularis oculi because it orbits the oculi, which oculi is Latin for eye. Now, the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve doesn't supply all of orbicularis oculi. Nope. I'll mark in green. It only supplies the lower parts, the inferior part of orbicularis oculi, which I have colored in green here. Now remember, it only supplies motor innervation here, as with the facial nerve, it only supplies, in most cases, motor innervation to the muscles of facial expression. Now, the action of orbicularis oculi, the inferior parts, acts to close the eyelids. So let's move on to the next muscle, levator labii superioris, which I will outline for us in red, roughly drawn here on this diagram. Let's color it in as well so we know which one. And it is supplied again by the zygomatic branch, no, it is zygo, of the facial nerve, CNVII, and it gives motor supply. Now, levator labii superioris is a muscle of facial expression, and it helps act to elevate and evert the upper lip. Just a little tip, if you didn't get by the name levator labii superioris, I'll just explain why it's called that. So levator, because it elevates the lip, labii is Latin for lip, superioris because it is located superiorly, so it's located up here, which would mean that there is an inferior muscle, but we'll get to that later. So next we're going to look at levator labii superioris alquiqui nasi. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but I've drawn the muscle in for you in green. I've done that because it can be a bit hard to see as this view is looking laterally on the face. It's a lateral view. It's much easier to see on the model if you look at it. It's outlined in green so it matches the picture. This muscle actually has the longest name of any muscle in any animal. So if you think about back to the previous muscle, levator labii superioris, it has a similar function, as you can tell by the first part of its name. And then I will go on to explain why it has got this second bit added on to it. So it receives its motor innervation from the zygomatic branch, zygo, of the facial nerve, CNVII. So this muscle is located bilaterally, like all muscles of facial expression in any normal anatomy. They're all located bilaterally on both sides of the face. It arises from the frontal process of the maxilla and has two sets of fibers. So the medial fibers travel and attach to the alar cartilage of the nose. Now, cartilage and fibrous parts on this drawing are noted in light blue. So the alar cartilage is just located around here at the tip of the nose. So the medial fibers travel across and attach onto here. And the lateral fibers blend in with orbicularis oris, not to be confused with orbicularis oculi, because orbicularis oculi is the muscle that goes around the eye, and orbicularis oris is the muscle that goes around the mouth. So these fibers will blend in here. So next we have got Zygomaticus major, which I'll just outline in blue. So major usually means, there's only one exception that I know of, and that's in the feet. That there is two. There is a major one, so the bigger one, and then there is a minor one. Just for explanation's sake, minor one is just located, put it a better color, medially to it. So it's located here, and that zygomatic is minor, but that'll be the next slide. Now it arises from the zygomatic bone, as you can tell from the name, zygomatic. Now this is just before the zygomatico-temporal suture. It's drawn in very lightly. I'll draw it in again though in purple. It's drawn in very lightly here. The zygomatico-temporal suture is just the join between the zygomatic bone, which is here, lined in purple, and the temporal bone, which is here, and the temporal bone travels all the way around here like that. Then the muscle travels down and inserts into the corners of the mouth. Now, this helps with its action. So Zygomaticus major acts to draw the mouth upwards, and this conveys the facial expression that you showed during laughter, so when you laugh. Now we'll move on to Zygomaticus minor, which I said in the previous video I outlined, but I'll just outline again. Which is here. It is located medially to Zygomaticus major, which we'll just say is right here. It arises from the lateral part of the zygomatic bone. So if you imagine, underneath orbicularis oculi here, the zygomatic bone does carry on to blend and join with the maxilla, not blend, it joins, there's a suture around there, so it will join up onto the zygomatic bone on the lateral sort of anterior side, more lateral though. And then the fibers will blend in with orbicularis oris. Again, don't get confused between orbicularis oculi around the eyes and orbicularis oris, which is around the mouth. And the action of this muscle is to elevate and expose the upper lip, exposing the maxillary teeth. So if you imagine, this muscle pulls upwards and shows the top of your teeth, so it's used when you're smiling. So it conveys the facial expression of smiling. Yay! Last but not least, we have nasalis, which I will outline for us in, we'll say green because it'll be easier to see. Green right here. Color in a little bit too. Now, nasalis, like all the other muscles, are innervated by facial nerve, the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve. It has two sets of fibers. It has the alar fibers and the transverse fibers. Now, the alar fibers are arising from the maxilla. So the maxilla would just be deep in here, as all these muscles lie on top of the bones, obviously, and insert below the skin of the alar cartilage. Now, the alar cartilage, again, is this bit located in blue and is found at the tip of the nose, because as anyone knows, if you try and wiggle the top of your nose, it's not made of bone, it's made of wobbly, softer cartilage, so it's able to bend and be more flexible than the bone. And then we have the transverse fibers. Now, the transverse fibers originate from the maxilla again and attach onto the bridge of the nose. So I'll just rub out this to start with. So if you imagine some of the fibers, I'll draw in green, will go around and attach onto here, like so. So this would be the alar part. And then the other fibers, which I will do in a lighter green, expand out and go onto the bridge of your nose, like so. So that's how the muscles comes across. Now, this is located bilaterally, but it can come over onto the bridge of the nose as well. So just a quick recap. I will use the face on the right to kind of go over what muscles we've covered. So all the muscles we covered in this video are given by the facial nerve, which is CNVII, being the 7th cranial nerve. It supplies motor innervation to all of the muscles of facial expression. The muscles we covered in this video were the muscles supplied by the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve. The muscles we covered, let me just draw on this guy's nose, was nasalis, just located here in purple. The zygomaticus minor, located bilaterally. You can see that it's located bilaterally on the models, though they're not outlined on both because the model doesn't show the muscle on both sides, but you can see where it is on one and visualize where it is on the other. So we've got zygomaticus major and minor. This one is minor. And this one here is major. And then we have in orange the inferior part of orbicularis oculi, located here and here. And then we have got levator labii superioris, which I will mark in dark red. And it goes like this and down. It's a flat muscle. There we go. And then last but not least, in blue, we have got levator labii superioris alquiqui nasi. Just down this and then on the other side as best I can. Down like that. I've just written it in here because it is very long to write out. So what I would advise you now is go look at the models, go try the flashcards. When you're ready, go and try the quiz test yourself, and if you need any more help, come back to the videos, go back to the model. You can also download the PowerPoint version of this from the website to your laptop, so if you're going on the train back home, you can give it a listen. You just have to hit play on the PowerPoint and it'll take you through me talking about this, the zygomatic branch of the facial nerve. So see you in the next video.